Welcome to the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott Sekulow. The Messianic Hour is a program designed to give you insight into the Jewish roots of your faith. Rabbi Scott is also here to answer your questions and help you gain a deeper understanding of Bible prophecy. And now, here's your host, Rabbi Scott Sekulow.
Shalom and welcome to another edition of the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found, and we're glad you're with us today. This is actually one of our last radio shows. We're going to be doing some new stuff starting September 6th will be our last radio show, but you can still get in touch with us. We're still going to have our Messianic Hour app. We're still going to be doing the YouTube videos and Roku. We're just going to be focusing really more on that and more on teaching and current events. So check that out. Make sure you go to our website, rabbiscott.com, or look us up on Facebook, The Messianic Hour, and sign in so we can keep you informed of all the great and new things that are going to be going on in the near future. We're very excited about it, and we want you to join in as well, and it'll be a lot of fun. We've been doing this radio show now for 7 years. We started 7707, and we figured this is just going into our the first part of the 8th year, and we said, you know what? It's a good time to say we've done enough with this and we're going to move on. It's sad, but it's exciting too, because we're going to be doing a new chapter in the ministry and we want you to be involved with it. So make sure you go to our website, rabbiscott.com. When you sign up, you get the free book, I Have a Friend Who's Jewish to You, and the prophecy card, 70 key prophecies, where they're found in the Torah, where they're fulfilled in the renewed covenant. It's a great way to learn how to share with your unsaved Jewish and Gentile friends. Again, we might be ending the show, but we're not ending what we're doing. We're going to be just bringing it in some different ways, and Judy and I are very excited. Unfortunately, Judy's not here today. She's actually with our daughter, Natalie. Many of you know the years. We have a lovely daughter, and she rides horses. If you follow me on Facebook, yes, I actually have a Facebook account, and that's really me who puts stuff on it. And but you can check that out, and she's going to be at a big horse show this weekend. She's going for a champion horse show, and we're excited about it, and it's been neat to see that. So Judy's out there today, but we have a very special guest, a dear friend of ours, Rabbi Erik Tokajer. He is the senior rabbi down at Pensacola, Florida, and also the editor of the Messianic Times. We're really going to give you some insight of what's going on right now in Israel with the situation. Of course, the ceasefire has ended, not because of Israel, but because of Hamas. There's an old saying, if you ask Hamas how they define the words ceasefire, it's Israel ceases and we fire, and that's how it's been. And just over the last few days, they've sent almost 300 rockets into Israel. So you can see they've stepped up the attacks, and we're going to talk more about this during the show with Rabbi Tokajer. We're going to get some great insight on it. Again, go to our website, rabbiscott.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter. We want to keep you informed of all the things we'll be doing. Again, via our YouTube channel, our Vimeo, and Roku channels are all going to be active, and our Facebook account, so check that out. And we want to, again, keep you informed. But while you're there, plant a tree in Israel. Many of these rockets are hitting into the forest. They're burning down the trees, and we need to replenish the land. It's for a donation of $25. You help our ministry and the land of Israel. It's a double blessing. Check that out. We'll be back right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found, and we're glad you're with us. Again, we've been talking about the situation going on in Israel right now, and I've brought on a very special guest, a very dear friend of ours. I've known Rabbi Tokajer for more years than we want to even count. He's actually on our board, and he is now the president of the Messianic Times. It's a great newspaper. I encourage you, go to messianictimes.com, get a subscription there. It's a great opportunity, great work with what they're doing. If you really want to know what's going on in Israel and the Messianic movement, this is a great way to find out. And Erik, it's great to have you on the show today.
It's great to be back, Steph.
Erik, now you and I, we've been seeing this going on for a while. You and I both have taken trips to Israel. Matter of fact, You were there last year when some of the rocket attacks were going on. I was there when the young men were kidnapped and then murdered. So we have a unique perspective of this, that we've seen on the land what's going on. But you also, with the paper and everything, are seeing what's happening. Give us your perspective on what I want to hear from you, Erik, is do you think there will ever be true peace with Hamas? Not the Palestinians, because I think the Palestinians might want peace. They might be able to do a, quote, two-state solution, even though I'm not in favor of that. But it's just really about Hamas, because they're the ones who are really in control.
I absolutely do not think that Hamas wants or will accept peace. First of all, the very name Hamas means violence. Their charter calls for the destruction of Israel. They have no desire for peace, and they say it over and over. It's amazing, no matter how many times they say that their goal is to destroy Israel, to kill every Jew, to drive them into the sea, to do away with Judaism and its very presence and all history of it in the land of Egypt, we still have politicians around the world saying, well, maybe if we are nice to them, maybe if we do something more, maybe if Israel gives a little more, that they'll make peace. But the stated goal of Hamas is the destruction of the Jewish people in Israel.
So, Erik, and I agree with that 100%. We see time after time, you can't negotiate with someone who wants everything and won't give up anything, and that's really how they are. And the real question is, okay, so they don't want peace. Again, we're not talking about necessarily the civilians, the Palestinians, because that's one part of it. But we had the situation with Hamas, and I thought they had this new unity government. I don't know what happened with that. What do you know about the unity government? They supposedly were merging together. What's happened with that?
Well, they were supposed to merge together until it was heard that Mahmoud Abbas had said publicly that once the merger happened, that he would be in charge and that he would control Hamas. And Hamas didn't want anybody to be in control of them, especially Mahmoud Abbas, who they see as a weak, compromising man. Another thing, Scott, I want to remind the listeners that Hamas is a terrorist organization, so is Islamic Jihad. And they are not only terrorizing Israel, but they're also terrorizing the Arabs that live in Gaza. They're using them forcefully for labor, for human shields. There's video of them forcing at gunpoint children and women to become human shields, to not leave buildings that had been noted that they were going to be bombed by Israel because of the rockets being fired out of them and around them. And so Hamas is not only terrorizing or trying to terrorize the people in Israel outside of Gaza, because remember that Gaza is still part of Israel, but they're also terrorizing the Arabs within their own community.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing that with what they do, and the idea that Israel uses the missiles to protect their civilians, and Hamas uses their civilians to protect their missiles. It's absolutely crazy how it's done. The reports are coming out that Israel killed 2 key of the militants of Hamas. Do we have confirmation that they actually had? I know Hamas has said no, he wasn't there, and that. Go ahead.
They don't have confirmation of the head of the Hamas military wing, so to speak, but they do have confirmation of the death of 3 of the major players in Hamas. And there is no confirmation yet, although Israel is convinced that they took out the head of the military wing.
Now, we should note, Hamas, their heads are actually not even in Gaza. They're not even in the West Bank. They're in, if I'm correct, is it Damascus?
Some are in Damascus, some are in Qatar.
Right.
And living lives of splendor on the money that they've stolen from the Arab people living in the Palestinian-controlled areas. Do you know, Rabbi Scott, that the head of Hamas has so much money that he could give $20,000 to every resident of Gaza and still have over $200 million in his bank account.
Unbelievable.
And it was all stolen from the money that the U.S., that the EU, that the UN, that Saudi Arabia, that Egypt, all these countries that have been supporting these refugees, as they call them, they're stealing this money and living in splendor as royalty, while 30% of the people in Gaza are unemployed and in poverty.
It's truly amazing, and you see that, and you know what people don't realize, when you go to Israel, there are Arabs that live within the land, that work within the land, they're perfectly fine. Matter of fact, if you ask them, and they've done surveys, they would rather be under the government of Israel than their own people because of just exactly what you're talking about. So, Erik,
absolutely,
the situation.
The news media keeps talking about Israel being an apartheid state. But if you look at Israel, you'll find that Arabs sit on the Knesset.
Right.
That Arabs are in every government agency. There are Arab mayors. There was actually an Arab judge that presided over the case of former President Omar recently. There is no apartheid in Israel. Now, if you look at Gaza, you have the upper echelon of Hamas living like kings and causing poverty among the poor of Gaza. If you want to see a real apartheid situation, it exists in Gaza, not in Israel proper.
Right. Erik, we got about 3 minutes left in this segment. What do you think Israel's next step is in this peace process? Obviously, they've called their negotiators back. We will not negotiate while we're being attacked. What do you think Israel's going to do? We've been seeing the rockets going back. There's been more rockets now, I think over 300 over the last couple of days. What's Israel's next step?
Well, I'd like to say I knew from my own personal thinking and experience, Israel has been put to a position where they have to increase what they're doing to bring Hamas to their knees. They're not, Hamas doesn't think, and neither for that matter do Middle Eastern minds think the way Americans do. And in America, the better person compromises. We're taught as children, be a man, be a good person, compromise. And the Middle Eastern mindset, especially the Arab mindset, the better man is the one that wins. And if somebody compromises, that means you've won, and it's now time to push for more. So the only way Israel can bring Hamas to a position where they'll stop firing these rockets is to do enough damage to enough Hamas people to bring them to their knees.
It's amazing that you say that, because when you watch the news, Hamas has obviously been defeated. They don't stand a chance against Israel's military, yet their demands are that the blockades, not only with Israel, but with Egypt as well. And people have to know, Egypt has denied them taking down the blockades as well. And, the ports going from 3 to 12 miles out and building a seaport there, they're acting like they want. And they will not budge, and that's what we're hearing. Is that what you're hearing with the Messianic Times, that they're not budging on their request? We got about a minute left.
Absolutely. Not only have they not budged, but Israel agreed to allow them to have a port. They actually said, if you let us have a port, we'll lay down our arms. And Israel said, we'll let you have a port as long as it is supervised by Egypt, so that we make sure that there's no weapons coming in. And Hamas's immediate response was, no, we will not lay down our weapons. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I want to encourage you. We're going to be talking more about this and what's going on in Iraq right now with the beheading, and how ISIS, right now they're going after their own people. But you know what? Israel and the U.S. are next. We're going to talk about that more after this break. I want to encourage you, go to the MessianicTimes.com, sign up for their newsletter and their paper. It's great. They also have a website as well. A Facebook site, so you can sign up there. Get involved. Learn what's going on in the situation. Remember, we are a listener-supported show. You can help us with the new work we're getting ready to do as we're launching more videos, more teaching, more things like this that will keep you informed of what's going on. So check out RabbiScott.com. We'll be back right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. And we have a great show that's been going on. We've been talking about the situation going on in Israel right now. We need to keep that in prayer. Israel's in a very tough situation. Israel's willing to negotiate. Hamas is not. They're putting their women and children in front of their rockets. They're putting their rockets inside hospitals and schools, and yet they're blaming Israel for the murder of these people. Yet Israel has been sending out leaflets. Have been telling people, get out of the area. And so we have to understand where this all is coming from. This is not the Palestinian people. This is Hamas. This is a terrorist organization, an organization that our country says we will not negotiate with, and yet they expect Israel to negotiate with them. Where is Abbas in this whole situation? It's gone quiet, and that's really what we see taking place there. But while there's stuff going on in Israel, really the whole Middle East, we're seeing events going on in Syria with ISIS, and of course in Iraq, the beheading this past week of an American citizen. So this person is a U.S. citizen, was kidnapped by ISIS, and was brutally murdered. I unfortunately saw the actual video, and I'm here to tell you it was it's a vision I will never forget. And we as a country cannot let this continue to happen. We can't let these barbaric people try to rule us by terror. We need to act, and we need to act strong. With us on the line today is a Rabbi Erik Tokajer. He is the senior rabbi down in Pensacola, Florida, and also the editor of the Messianic Times, a great, not only regular newspaper, but online paper as well. Check that out at messianictimes.com. They also have a Facebook page. Join up. You'll get some great information. You know, Erik, we've been talking about this. What's your opinion with the situation going on with ISIS? Is just these attacks from the air, is that enough?
I don't believe it's going to be enough. It could have been. You know, Rabbi Scott, 5 months ago, when there were 3,000 to 4,000 of these militant terrorists that had raised up and started doing what they're doing, a military attack with just some gunships may have been an effective deterrent. But now there's over 50,000 of them. They're armed with U.S. military equipment that they've taken from Iraq and Syria, and they're a big army now. It's not just a group of thugs, but now they're an army that is run by the Ba'athists, by those that used to work in the military for Saddam Hussein. And so I believe it's going to take a boots-on-the-ground force. Now, whether that's U.S. troops or troops from other countries, for instance, Saudi Arabia and other countries that are also against what's going on with ISIS, I'm not sure how it should be best done, but I believe it is going to take getting boots on the ground to deal with it.
You know, it's really a shame with the situation that's going on. It's not just, like you said, it started in Syria, now it's in Iraq, and they have our weapons. So they got the best weapons out there that they're using now against innocent people. Not only, this is not just also a battle of Shiite versus Sunni. This group is really, like we had talked during the break, a group that's against everyone. They're beheading Christians, and that's what people don't realize, too. You're not hearing a lot of that in the news, but, these are they want to kill Christians. They want to kill for other, Muslims if they don't believe their way, and it's really, they're trying for world domination.
Absolutely. They're trying to set up an Islamic caliphate. And by the way, Rabbi Scott, a lot of times you'll hear people refer to them as the Islamic State or as ISIS. And then there's a third term that they call ISIL, which is the one that our president uses most often. And that word, the term ISIL, which is an acronym for the Islamic State and the Islamic Levant. And Levant is their way of saying this caliphate. And it actually establishes that there is a caliphate. When you say the Levant, you're saying you accept the fact that it exists. And we need to be really educated about these things. They believe in a restoration of the 7th century Islamic caliphate, controlled all of the land, including Israel.
Right.
And so when our president or other government agency or news media call it ISIL, they're actually speaking and saying they accept that there is this caliphate. And we need to make sure that we're paying attention to these things.
You know, you brought up a great point, because I was listening to the news the other day, and when he did his press conference, and everyone, you know, of course, I watch Fox News predominantly, so I always hear ISIS, and he uses the other term. I was wondering why he did, and you just explained it. So he's basically admitting that they're a legitimate organization, then, is what you're saying. Is that correct?
If you refer it as ISIL, you're accepting the existence of an Islamic Levant.
Why would he do that? I mean, why is our president doing that then? No one else is. You don't hear much of the news.
You know, I'd like to be able to answer that. I can't really think for our president, but it's really easy to look at the example that he's shown from when he first got into office, where he was very supportive and actually went on the apology tour to all the Islamic countries. And then when he announced that one of the primary concerns of NASA was going to be outreach to Islamic countries, just recently he proclaimed the historical benefit and the foundational work of Islam in the United States. And people don't realize, you know, when we sing when people sing the Marine song from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, that song was written because of Islamic terrorism that was going on back then, and this is not something that we have this amazing foundation of Islamic contribution to the United States. And again, I want to say that doesn't mean I diminish the good things that Muslims have done in different aspects of our country. But to say that our history is based upon the accomplishments of Islam is a false statement, and it was made by our president.
Right. If you look through history, more is done through our Christian brothers and sisters and our Jewish brothers and sisters, that, you know, for our country than Islam, and it is absolutely amazing to see what's going on. You know, the next, you know, I'm concerned what's going to happen next. Like you said, they're now an army, and they literally are. They're an army of 50,000, well armed. They can, you know, they lost control of the dam, but doesn't mean they can't regain control of that. They can do a lot of damage, and they will kill their own people in the name of Allah. And that's really what people don't realize. We got about 2 minutes left. Erik, what's the last thing you want to hit on? What do people need to know about what's going on with this situation?
One of the things that all of our listeners, all of your listeners, need to pay attention to is the constant statement of these people that says first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. And you have to understand that we are in this together, whether you're Jewish or Christian or secular or whatever you are. They're rising up to get you to either convert to Islam or be executed.
You know, people don't realize that, you know, I think they said that 500 of the most dangerous terrorists are from England. How many? We don't know yet how many are from the United States. That means they have passports that they can go anywhere. We can't just sit here and think, you know, pre 9/11 that, oh, everything's fine, no one can touch us in our land. They're coming after us, and we need to be ready. We need to understand that they want world domination, and they want basically everyone to believe in Allah without God, the true and living God. You know, they want their false God put in place, and they will do whatever they need to make that happen. We as Americans need to watch out. We need to understand. We need to understand for our Jewish brothers and sisters too. Erik, we got about a half a minute left. Tell them real quick about how they can get in touch with you and let them know what's going on with the Messianic Times.
They can reach us by going to messianictimes.com. On our website, you'll see news and information about the Messianic movement worldwide. Rabbi Scott, if I can, real quick, I want to remind people, if they look at what's going on in Ferguson and Missouri right now, there's a CNN clip of a man walking behind a CNN reporter with a sign that says, ISIS is here. Wow.
You need to learn more about it. Go to their website, go to their Facebook, sign up, get this paper. I cannot recommend it any more highly. It's a great work, great understanding. We're going to be keeping you informed. Go to our website, rabbiscott.com, for more information as well. Until next week, this is Rabbi Scott saying shalom and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.